Next job is to fit a pressure gauge in order to pressure test the system at a later stage. Pull out the lower return temperature gauge, unscrew the temperature gauge housing and store both safely to refit after pressure testing is completed. The pressure gauge and adapter can be screwed into the exposed socket and tightened with a suitable spanner. Light use of PTFE may be required. Lay the floor heating pipes as per the system layout drawing. Start at the manifold, allowing enough spare pipe for connection. Follow the pipe layout drawing and return back to the cabinet. Again, leave enough pipe for connection. Identify each tail of pipe, marking the flow or return and loop number. This is easily done with a permanent marker. The flow pipe goes to the outside walls first. Each tail of pipe will need to pass through a rubber boot located in the base of the waterproof cabinet. Remove the boot and cut off the end. Be careful not to cut off too much or the pipe will be a loose fit and won't be watertight. Replace the boot, making sure it's seated fully into the base of the waterproof cabinet. A good tip is to lubricate the opening of the boot with a small amount of silicone spray. This will allow the pipe to slide smoothly through the rubber boot. Feed the flow loop tail under the cabinet and into the rearmost boot. Be careful not to kink the pipe. You may find it easier to lift the pipework closest to the cabinet in order to get sufficient free play in the pipe to feed underneath the cabinet. The return loop is fed up and through the front boot. Make sure there is sufficient pipe in the bend at the floor level to prevent the pipe kinking and to keep the bend of the pipe within the space directly below the cabinet. Pass the flow pipe behind the lower return bar and offer it up to the pipe connector on the flow bar. Mark on the pipe where the pipe requires trimming, approximately halfway up the Eurocone connector. Cut the floor heating pipe with pipe cutters, making sure a clean and square cut is achieved. Finally, prepare the end of the pipe with a pipe reamer. Visually inspect the pipe end and remove any residue by hand. Back off and remove the Eurocone connector and split olive. Back the Eurocone over the pipe and push fit the split olive onto the end of the pipe. Make sure it sits flush with the end of the pipe. Remove the end plug from the manifold and insert into the pipe. Again, make sure it's pushed fully home. Insert the prepared connection into the flow bar of the manifold. Ensure the end plug sits up in the manifold port. Whilst pushing up with the pipe, tighten the Eurocone connector by hand onto the flow bar connection. Repeat the same process for the return pipe onto the lower return bar connections. Mark and cut the pipe, preparing it and install the Eurocone, split olive and end plug. Systematically lay each circuit of pipe in turn, following the system layout drawing and labelling each loop in turn. Connect to the manifold and tidy the pipework below the manifold as you connect each loop. A little bit of excess pipe in the bend below the manifold will help keep the pipes tidy and behind the front fascia of the cabinet. Any spare ports on the manifold can be blanked off using manifold blanks. One for the flow port and one for the return port. These ports can always be tapped into at a later date if necessary, or extending the heating area. Now we're ready to tighten all the blanks and pipe connections using a suitable spanner.